Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on this classic wooden motor cruiser here at the Causeway Docks in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. Yes, indeed. Anyway, I live here along with the loving memory of my pup, Geordie, all the while fixing it up for some pretty ambitious cruising someday. If that's the sort of thing you might find interesting, please consider sticking around and subscribing. Yes, the secret is out. And to be fair, it wasn't really a secret. It's just that I wanted to make sure everything fell into place before I announced that I was actually a resident here at the Causeway Marina. And there's a lot of things that had to fall in place to make it happen, and it all has. Today is move-in day. I am officially a resident of the Causeway Marina in beautiful downtown Victoria, British Columbia. And for me, this is by far the most prestigious and desirable marina I could possibly imagine. I mean, right in the heart of downtown Victoria, steps from anything you could possibly imagine. It's a dream come true. And it's a long-term dream come true. There's a long-term waiting list. Anyway, I'll get into more of that in further detail in a little bit. So the thing about the Causeway Marina is it's not really a year-round opportunity, for me at least, because this marina is run by the Greater Victoria Harbour Authority and is used primarily for transient boats during the peak cruising season. You can imagine why, it's in such a fabulous location. But off-season, which is the 8 months from October to the end of May, it's not used very much, so they offer what they call their winter mooring program, which is what I and many of the boats around me here have been able to take advantage of. The upside of that is it's reasonably economical and you get booted out for the 4 months of summer, but don't pay. So if you're planning to cruise anyway, it's a really, really good arrangement. You cruise for the 4 months of summer, and all things being equal, you get invited back. And from what I understand, that is the way it works. But until I find out 1 year from now, if I get back in here, I won't actually know. But in the meantime, this is actually fabulous. Hey there, ladies. Empress, where are you off to?
Heading downtown.
Yeah?
Woohoo!
Feeling pretty good about that?
Oh yeah. Downtown Victoria, in front of the Empress. It's a new world. So excited.
All right then, I've been moved over to my final spot here on the center dock at the Causeway Marina, and I'm so pleased it worked out really well. And better yet, look who else is here. Yes, you might have seen her come in. Lady Zephyrus is here with MV Zephyrus. Not only is Lady Zephyrus here for the winter, but Poem is here. My good friend Lloyd is also here at the Causeway Docks. I tell you, monks are gonna rule this place soon. Okay. Hello there, folks. I just thought I'd do a very quick frequently asked questions for some questions that have been frequently asked and some that I expect are going to come soon. The first of which is probably, what does it cost to stay here? And as I think I've already mentioned, the neat thing about staying at the Causeway Docks in the Greater Victoria Harbour Authority is that it's a winter program. You can only be here for the 8 months of winter. That is October through the end of May. The neat thing about that, of course, is that it's relatively economical because there's not much need for these docks for transit moorage, and you don't pay for the 4 months that you need to leave. So you're not paying for a moorage while you're off cruising. So in that sense, it's really good. So just to recap, I paid about $760 a month Canadian at my previous marina. Excuse me. That included moorage, parking, a small storage locker, a mailbox, and power, etc. Liveaboard fee. Anyway, all in. Here at the Causeway, total costs are about $100 more, maybe $80 more, and that's largely because I pay a lot more for parking. My Land Rover is now parked in the basement of a nearby hotel. And it's not cheap, but that's the cost of living down here. The actual moorage, everything to do with staying here at the marina, is actually quite a bit cheaper than it was at the last marina I was at. And the most important part about that is that I'm not paying for the 4 months that I'm not here in summer. So overall, it's very economical. To live here, it's awesome. Now, many people have asked about how the bilge is doing, in other words, how much my bilge pump is pumping, because, of course, anyone who's followed along through this spring's haul-out knows that I've done a lot of work to the bottom, and a big part of that was a lot of recaulking and 2 new garbage planks for a big section of the garbage. Okay, if I'd answered this question 3 weeks ago, I would have said that the bilge pump was pumping about every 45 minutes and probably pumped 2 or 3 cups. Somehow, over the last week or so, that's reduced to about every 3 hours, pumping 2 or 3 cups. And maybe it's had something to do with some fairly heavy seas I've been in, and the boat kind of flexing and closing up or something. But for whatever reason it has been, the boat is hardly pumping, well, I shouldn't say hardly pumping, about every 3 hours, which for me is fine. And I think I may have already mentioned that all that water is coming from the bow, and it's coming from the remaining sections of the garbage plank, which I didn't have a chance to replace, which definitely will be replaced next year. And at that point, we may be able to get down to 1 pumping cycle a day, who knows? Anyway, in any event, I'm not worried about it, and I'm looking forward to making it even better. After that, there's been many questions about the new engine, and of course that's perfectly reasonable when you consider what an exciting thing getting this new beautiful Beta Marine has been. And I apologize if I haven't been able to give you enough feedback on that up until now. Somehow the summer just flew by. But let me say, what a delight that little motor is. It starts on the button every time, it's reliable, it's quiet within reason. I'll get onto that in a little bit. It's incredibly economical. I hardly put any fuel in this boat. It's rated for about 3 liters an hour at the speed that I've been running. I haven't been able to actually check that, but I can tell you I'm not buying very much fuel. It's plenty powerful. If you watch the latest episode, I ran it up to about 8 knots, which is significantly higher than hull speed, although it didn't actually make too much of a wake, and that was 2100 RPM, which is not very fast. Because the engine runs up to 2700 RPM. I've never run it up there yet. I'm going to soon. But I want to do it without the dinghy on behind, because if you saw the episode, most recent, where I did the various speed tests, you can see that almost the largest wake is from the dinghy. Well, think of it. The dinghy is only 9 feet long, and hull speed for that is going to be the square root of 9, 3.5, somewhere in there, knots. Dragging it along at 8 knots makes a tidal wave. So I'm very interested to see how the boat performs without the dinghy on behind and at the various RPMs and speeds. But I can tell you right now, if I can achieve 8 knots, which is well over hull speed, at 2100 RPM, and the engine can go to 2700, I have plenty of reserve power. I'm super excited about that. In terms of the boat, absolutely thrilled. I've already mentioned that the motor was just brilliant. Everything else about the boat was splendid. It's such a different boat than Zephyrus. It's much heavier, it handles much heavier, and I'm really starting to get a feel for how to manage it around docks and moorings and such, and I really enjoy the boat. It is smooth and quiet. Now, getting to the quiet part. I mentioned that briefly when we were talking about the engine, and I'll say it again now. You're right, the engine is not quiet just yet. It's not quiet for 2 reasons. One, just off idle, in other words, at around 800 RPM, it hits a harmonic that shakes the boat quite dramatically. As a result, everything that can rattle, it had been mostly the sole boards in the wheelhouse, but just about everything on the boat that's loose rattles quite intensively at that speed and makes a heck of a lot of noise. Very true. Once I'm up to cruising speed, somewhere between 1800 RPM and 2000 RPM, the engine itself is actually quite quiet and smooth. The problem is I have 0 sound insulation yet, and large air gaps around the sole where that noise comes up quite readily. And so I'm not worried about that sound at all, because I'm going to be able to build a sound insulated box around the engine. I think I've mentioned this before. And I think that will do a great job of limiting the sound in those RPM ranges. Now, that doesn't limit vibration, and vibration goes right through sound insulation because it shakes the boat itself. So I'll always probably have a little rattle just off the idle in the 700-800 RPM range, and I guess that's just the nature of the harmonics of this particular engine and the way the engine beds are set up and the way the engine mounts are set up. In time, perhaps I'll try to change something. You know, when you have a harmonic vibration, you really only need to change one thing. Add weight here, add stiffness there, change something, and sometimes that goes away, or sometimes it gets worse. Something to think about. But in general, I am very, very happy with what I think I'm going to be able to do to attenuate engine noise. So look forward to next season's cruising being much, much quieter. Now, I can't possibly do an FAQ without touching on what's coming up. In other words, my winter plans. So here I am in beautiful Victoria Inner Harbor, where I'm going to spend at least this winter, if not the next couple. What am I going to be able to get done here in terms of work on the boat? Very good question. This is a prestige marina. I can't be running a table saw. There's no more running wood in one window across the table saw and out the other window. That was fun, but I can't do that here. Now, it's not that dire. I have a couple of options. One, the boat is completely mobile. I can turn the key, well, in my case, press the button, at any moment and go somewhere where I can work on the boat. And from here, there are a couple of options, a couple of little anchorages that are very nearby, where I could make modest amount of noise without annoying too many people. And the neat thing about that is once a week, just leave here, go for a little short cruise, do some work, do an overnight, and come back the next day. I actually love the sound of that. I think that would be a perfect work balance. But that does imply that I keep the boat as a shop, as I have in previous years. Those of you who've been following along know that most winters, every winter, I convert the wheelhouse into a wood shop. And I have a door to the aft cabin where my bedroom is, and I have a door to the forecastle where my office is, and it's a dusty, noisy mess in there all winter. I'd really rather it wasn't. So, I'm looking at other options. I've had a brief opportunity, not a brief opportunity, for a while it looked like I might be able to rent a small shop very nearby. It fell through. But there are some other options that I'm looking at where I might be able to do some shop work nearby. Now, that has other very important implications, and that's to get a sheet of plywood to right here is a bit of a project. Remember, my car is parked 15 minutes away in a hotel basement, so I got to walk there, get it, drive the truck to the lumberyard, get, well, way up the top of the peninsula to get marine ply, back down here. There's nowhere around here I can park and unload and take out sheet of plywood. So it would be some distance from here, and then I somehow have to carry a sheet of plywood through downtown Victoria, down Government Street, down the staircase, amongst all the tourists, and down the dock. That may not be as practical as I'd like to imagine. So the prospect of maybe finding a little shop somewhere, or I've had some offers from some friends to do some of that kind of work at their place, and that's very exciting. It means I'm not self-contained, which I really like. I like being able to do everything I can on the boat. But while I'm in this very, very privileged place here, I'm willing to make a compromise for that. So we'll see how that develops. But to get back to the actual work I plan to do, some of that work is perfectly clean and quiet. I still have to do 95% of the electrical work on the boat clean and quiet. I have plumbing work to do. I have all kinds of small I have to finish the fuel system on the boat. I have all kinds of work that I can do here, no problem, and it's perfectly quiet and clean. The dirty and noisy work I need to do is rebuilding the galley, which I'm quite keen to do. Although I'm enjoying camping out in the aft cabin on the camp stove, I really would love to put my galley back together. So that's sort of number one, followed by rebuilding the dinette, the dine and recline setup, if you've been watching along. To be fair, I wasn't quite fully pleased with the mock-up I did there before, so I'm probably going to build another mock-up of the modular settee dinette setup that I'm proposing for the wheelhouse. And then I'll be able to really fine-tune that over this winter and possibly build the final version of it this winter or next year. In any event, I want the wheelhouse back to be a comfortable space. Following that, I would love to advance on the forecastle. As many of you know, I did a big haul out this spring where I did all the work through the middle of the boat in the house section under the wheelhouse. Next spring I will do work in the forecastle and the cockpit. And then the following year, or the following haul out, I'm not sure when it will be, I will finish the structural work underneath the aft cabin. So there's at least 2 more major haul outs for this boat. Not as major as this last one, but you know, significant haul outs until the bottom and the structure is completely rebuilt. And I want to be able to do that in a manner that is effective but also comfortable for living aboard. And it's quite comfortable to live aboard right here. So have you had enough talking heads? Should we go for a walk? Let's go for a walk. Come on, let's go for a walk. No, it's certainly not for everyone, but I just love the energy of a downtown core, and well, to be fair, Victoria has about the most sedate downtown core you can get, but it's still a full-featured city. It has everything you need. I've pitched Victoria plenty times in the past. For those of you who've been watching along know that, and those of you who've been watching along for a little while know that Lady Zephyrs and I have spent the Christmas holidays tied up here at the Causeway Marina, and just love it. So, start of a new era, at least for the winter months. More on that in a bit. MV Geordie, MV Zephyrs, absolutely fantastic people all in through here. MV Poem is in here. The Robert Bateman Museum. Up this road is all kinds of fabulous shopping, pubs, etc. Oh, look at this. The BC Legislature. Kind of cool. Lit up at night. Fantastic. This is Government Street. Walk down there. 5 minutes to the ocean. The BC Museum. Always a good exhibit going on there. And what do we have here? The Empress Hotel. Absolutely the most extraordinary landmark in Victoria Harbour, and guest bedroom for guests, so come and visit. Up this way is downtown. Pub, coffee shop. Awesome stuff up in this direction, all within an easy walk. This is just such a fantastic hub of anything you would ever want. Oh, let's see. What do we have there? The Clipper ferry to downtown Seattle, and coming soon, hopefully, will be the Coho ferry to Port Angeles. You know what? This rocks. Well, hello there, and welcome to the Travels with Geordie Beer of the Week, coming to you this week from the beautiful Causeway Docks in beautiful downtown Victoria. Yes, am I ranting about it? This is just a dream come true for me, as I think I've probably already expressed. Let's get straight to the beer. This was gifted to me. This is Phillips Space Goat, and it was gifted to me just yesterday by a gentleman named Bart on a departing boat. Who knows the show, so thank you very much, Bart. We'll see what we think of this. Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be awesome. Oh, what a lovely day it is here today. This was the big move-in. Also such a fantastic joy to be able to bring Lady Zephyrs over on Zephyrs, as well as, let's see what I've done to the pour, as well as Lloyd on his boat Poem is also joining us here at the Causeway for the winter, so it's absolutely fantastic. I'll probably just take a moment to let this settle. Well, there you folks. How about that? Did I improve on it just a little bit? Anyway, so cheers to Bart. Thank you very much. Space Goat from Phillips. Wow, I like it. Wow. It's an IPA. It's a little bit hazy, even though it doesn't look it. It's got that. Absolutely love it. Okay, let's jump right in. Last Wednesday's winner of a Travels with Geordie t-shirt was Max G. So get a hold of me, Max, and we'll make sure you get your Travels with Geordie t-shirt. Cheers, Max. This is just so nice. Also like to welcome aboard a new patron. It's Alfred Wendler. Welcome, Alfred, and thank you ever so much for coming aboard. Cheers. Okay, now this is a lot of fun. Hang on a second. Some of you will remember, some weeks ago, I was sent a beer and a small packet of pub treats from England. And it was suggested, because I love them so much, that they're available on Amazon. So off the Amazon wish list this week, I received not only a wall pack, like a full wall display of the Scampi fries, I also received a full wall display of bacon fries. I couldn't resist. These things If you remember how much I enjoyed the scampi fries, I'm quite keen to try some of the bacon fries with you now. Let's see what we think of this. If I can just only open it. Bacony. Okay, folks. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Cheers. And as seems to be the case more often than not, I have no idea who sent these because the box came without any indication. So please, if you sent me the bacon fries and the scampi fries, hang on, I got it. Please let me know so I can thank you properly. Oh my gosh, dreamy. Absolutely. Okay, so all you need now, those are going to be great later, is a word of the week. So the word of the week this week, if you haven't already guessed, is dream, because this is a dream come true. I'm in a dream state, it's dreamy, all those things. Cheers, you know what to do with it. See you next week.